Hello, Mega Dimensions, and back for another Castlevania Tohya video. Last time we did the Crimson Moon, that was Arcade and Rose little thing. It was quite fun to see in Rose's perspective. Now we're going to play Red Demon. That one's a bit more that was interesting. Because it's a character that we know existed, but never, ever, barely ever talk about. So, it's those mentioned in the Captain Toy when we went to the doctor. So if you remember what was that, then you kind of forgot what was going on, and also it kind of fills up a lot of questions that we had in Tsukihime and the near side routes about Shige's family and all that stuff, if I remember correctly. So let's go. Red Demon God. Hey, let me tell you an old story. Red Demon God. Prologue. Let's see what voice I use. For a split second, there was a dull yet smooth sound. The man died by getting his neck crushed from the front. It was an instant death, but a painful death which takes a few seconds after receiving the fatal wound. Even so, the man could never see the figure of the attacker. In a few seconds until he died, the only thing he was thinking was let others know that there was the attacker. Another smooth sound. Right next to the man, the other guard who was literally an arm length from him died similarly as well. What a bad dream, the man thought. If there was... I usually regular voice until the character shows, but I guess. Or there was any intruders in the area, they wouldn't even let a rat pass, though. Now he was dying without even noticing the death of his partner. This can only be a dream, but was reality. It wasn't the work of a human. It could have been a familiar that skilled in hiding his presence, or work of a demon unknown to him. The pupil enlarged, the camera, called the eyeball, caught the figure of an assailant before it lost its function. That was clearly smiling. The figure was human. The present smell was no different from a normal human either. His hand, he was carrying something that looks like a drumstick. The man was surprised that his neck was crushed as such a thing, and he was surprised even more that the fact that his assailant was really just a human. The assailant walked on quietly. Another smooth sound. The guards in other areas died just like them. It's a terrible dream, the man thought. Without any presence of real murder, an ordinary human who does not have any mixed blood was crushing them through the tight defense of the inhuman body lines. Yeah, I think you can guess whose family this is. I see. The man was convinced in his disappearing consciousness. This is our enemy this time. The taboo within the hybrids. The head of the Nanayas, who is said to be a demon god. The assassin name was Nanaya Kirei. Kirei. Yeah, I would say Kirei, right? Yeah, I think. Half an hour has passed since the assault began. Kirei had already taken care of all the guards outside the mansion, and now he only needed to assassinate his target within. There were only 20 men outside the mansion. That was more than Kirei was told. 20. Wow. It was an excessive murder. It was an excessive murder. Kirei laughed. It was an instant laugh like a child. Killing was a profession of the young man called Nanaya Kirei. To put it simply, an assassin. And it was an assassin with a history that is going back generations. No doubt in the past or present, and hopefully in the future, such a job title should not be allowed. Because it is not allowed, such a thing should not exist. That's why the Nanaya fan has been living in the shadow in the shadow of shadows, in the darker dark. No, the reason why they had to hide in the shadows is not because of their job, but it had to do with their bloodline. There's a thing called a demon. Even though it exists within the rule of nature, here is the power that isn't needed because it is said to disturb its flow. There are many types of them, but they will all appear evil. But they will all appear evil for someone who is within the straight flow. A demon is a distribution, and demon hunters are a gathering of those who fix the distribution. But this disruption isn't a single type. The demon hunters fix disruptions within nature, but cannot fix the disruption within humans. For example, there's a type of a demon called an ogre. This is a type that isn't straight flow from the beginning and clearly a genuine demon. The demon hunters are fit to banish them, but it's a different story when these ogres mix with humans, because the demon hunters are an organization in the lawful spell branch created by humans to protect the human society. They are not supposed to hurt humans. For that reason, they will have a difficult time against a mix of demon and human. A long time ago, there were many who wished to become hybrids with demons, who are great beings, and as a result, a few of them made that possible. Using the power of demons even as a human, they sometimes help the demon hunters, while sometimes they become their worst enemies. The ratio is very fragile. The hybrids who place themselves within the demon hunters and the hybrids who oppose the demon hunters hate each other, and they'll continue to fight below the surface. Of course, the demon hunters oppose the hybrids as well. But as a general principle, demon hunters are those who fix the disruption. Demons are disruptions just by existing, so they banish them right away. But demon hybrids are not a disruption. In order for a hybrid to be considered a disruption, the demon blood needs to become thicker than the human blood. The demon hybrids who can't maintain the human side anymore are seen as being out of alignment, and the demon hunters finally see them as their target. However, when the demon hybrids go out of alignment, they become the worst enemy for the demon hunters, because they have a human side. Binding spells won't work on them, and because they have an alien power of the demons, it is impossible to stand up against them with a human body of a human. In the past, when weapons were undeveloped, killing them meant many casualties. However, there was a special case. Psychic ability. Even though the demons and demon hunters oppose each other, their powers actually originate from the same place. Therefore, there's a common rule between them, and they have a fair fight within its bounds. But rarely, there are ones who can go outside the rule. Though those are alien powers called psychic abilities, and the psychics. They don't follow the rules of demons, and carried inhuman powers are as pure humans. Some say that this is suppressing power that were born from the unconsciousness of mankind. The targets of that suppression are no doubt the ones who are a threat to the humans, who are the highest primates. People who achieve these abilities don't need to study outdated technology like sorcery. Ignoring the principle of yin and yang, the interaction within nature, psychic ability is an extreme power achieved by the human race, who became detached from nature. Without interacting with nature like demons, they have superhuman power while still being humans. They're just like hybrids, but instead borrowing power from alien blood. They are humans born with special abilities. Because their advanced abilities, they can end a single generation after an accidental appearance. Commonly called psychics, they are the bane of demon hybrids. To put it simply, the Night Clan is a special case of them. But note, psychics are not stronger than demons. It's impossible for them to stand against them. Their psychic ability is just a small needle that doesn't follow the rules of yin and yang. Those abilities' effects are extremely small compared to the interaction with nature of the demon and demon hunters. And there's no way a psychic is able to fight them alone. But still, a power outside the rule can be a threat to those who live outside the rule. Demon hunters hide their existence in the beginning and use them to catch hybrids off guard by having them appear in the middle of battle. It's kind of a saying. A psychic support is a stone that's thrown between two people glaring at each other. The psychics use their unusual abilities just once, create a decisive opening in their opponent. That's how demon hunters use psychics, and even for the hybrids, they're just a bothersome, unpredictable factor. Yes, there's not a chance in a million in this world that such a thing as a psychic ability, which is only a power of a human, can defeat a demon that is nature. However, here was one in a million demon god. That is the ancient times, and Naya lived for generations without mixing their blood. Many hideous children were born from being incestuous, but the ones who were able to grow up became powerful. I'm praying that single breeding was the reason they were able to solidly carry their psychic abilities, which are supposed to be mutational genes that last only for one generation. On top of that, the Nayas part their skills as assassins and learn a way to bring psychics, who are normally on the suicide mission, home alive. As a result, we have the Naya clan with power outside the boundary of a human, and the human body trained to the limit. At that point, they're not considered a clan with psychic ability, but a clan was especially given the title of demon hunters. That was the only way for the Naya family, who were psychics, discriminated against even more than the hybrids at times, to show their usefulness and live. That's how the demon hunter possessed the Nayas, their absolute war power. A long and boring time has passed, but after that, the Naya kept on being the greatest assassins. They knew better than anyone else that the moment they fall down from the top, then the Naya bloodline would die out. I'm echoing smooth sound. Within a few minutes, after Kirei entered the mansion, he killed a sixth person. The Naya Kirei specialized in indoor jobs. There are walls and there's a ceiling. Kirei's field of activity would expand to them, and he moved like a spider that captures its prey. His speed was not a spider, but a beast. If there was an observer, he would have a marvel at how bizarre yet beautiful a human can move. 2 ahead, no 3. 2 ahead, no 3. Kirei confirmed his target through the wall. He had assassinated over 30 so far. They all have been relatives of a man called Shiaki, the target. Each one of them had been a hybrid monster. The truth that Nanya Kirei was the weakest being among the people inside the mansion, no matter how much power he wielded as a demon hunter. The power of a single human was too little. There's no way he could win against a demon that links to the world and changes the environment. On top of that, Kirei's psychic ability was only a auxiliary, the ability to see the flow of people's thoughts. It was too thin of a thread to channel a layer of monsters who can easily do things like reversing the temperature and freeze the opponent just by glaring at them. But Kirei only needed that thread. By stretching the thin thread around, changing the monster's lair into his own hunting ground, he killed his prey one by one. Of course, there couldn't be any murders, intentions, or tensions. With the head of the Nanais, this hunting ground was his daily routine. He took out another 3. The thing is, Kirei's hand was only a steel drumstick. He liked to use his plain weapon, and he used it to thrust into vital spots of a human. That was such a way of killing, far from the superior assassin skill called the pressure point. With the point of the stick, that neither is thin nor thick, he crushed the bones instead of the muscle. At times, he thrust the opponent's head from above and crushed his head to be pushed into the body. Like his name said, his weapon was more like a giant owl than a drumstick. It couldn't cut and it could make holes. I don't know what that owl means. As a result, it was rare that he got stained with the blood of his enemy like this. Kirei shook out the blood by wielding the drumstick. There was only two more people in the mansion. I was planning to spill the smell of blood to alarm his prey, but he ended up drilling the hole into one extra high tension. Disgusting blood. It smells nasty. The irritating assassin said to himself. Green, showered by blood, and Naikiri stopped his footsteps for the first time. This is like a book, because it's not even, it's kind of, it's like a third person perspective. Not first person, yeah? He didn't like the blood, thinking that it was sticky red color might bring down his precision. The Naikiri found no pleasure in killing. He took this path just because he was born into the Naya family, and was physically fitter than his siblings. He wasn't like his older brother who enjoyed killing, nor like his younger sister who was highly sensitive to demons and feared them. To say the least, he was the type of person who dedicates himself to one thing. How skillfully he can put a stop to a human body. The pursuit was duty for those born in the Naya family, and Naikiri was just doing that single-mindedly. When he knows there was no one better than him after he was chosen as a head, he kept out killing the mixed beings every day for years. If you look back, that's all there was to his life. But Kirei never felt it as a burden. The only thing was in his mind how skillfully he could kill someone. That was the only meaning to his life since he was born as an Anaya. The 8th guy went pretty good. I'll try that again when I get home. The 30 people who had killed Kirei recalled the one he was able to kill the quickest. There was no enjoyment or pain. Nanaya Kirei lacked those emotions. Therefore, he was suited for being the head of the Nanayas, not enjoying or fearing murder, but being able to concentrate on his own and his natural talent. It's the natural talent of a killer. That a killer suddenly felt something strange. A foreign object entered his view, which had been perceiving only 2 more people. There was a vermilion flow inside the mansion, and Naikiri was able to perceive people's thoughts. Thoughts are waves, and most of them have a dull, transparent color, which emotion can be lightly read by the spread of its flow. But there are some with their own color. Those are monsters that are too horrifying to be described as a human. As far as Kiri knew, there were a few in the Demon Hunter organization with a divine color of blue and silver. Give me a second. This was vermilion. No. This was vermilion. No, if I approached its body, I'll probably perceive a clearer red. Kira never seen a thought that strong, a thought that wicked. Without finishing to wipe the blood that still dripped from his hair, Nanaya Kirei started walking. Aside was a boy who looked barely 10 years old. A boy wounded all over his body and his hands and legs were chained. It was apparent that was the alliant. Even among the hybrids, Kirei saw it right away. It had nothing to do with Kirei after all. If this boy was here to protect Kirei's target, only then he needed to kill him. But that wasn't even given such a job. For Naya Kirei, the boy was no different than a front pedal on the road. Kirei's job was to ignore and walk past him. The sound of chains. The boy looked up and perceived Naya Kirei. That moment, Naya Kirei thrust his weapon into the boy's face. He put out the drenched drumstick. The weapon crushed the boy's eye completely. Without even screaming, the boy had dropped down. The dream blood stained the time floor, and Kirei left the room. That was one and only person murderous act done by the master of assassins. He found the reason why it ended. The person murder intention destroyed his precise rationale for the first time. He must have been excited. Of course, the action that Naikiri took after that was so terrible it suggests vomiting. He barged into a room where Saki, the target, and a man who sent to keep an eye on him were. That wasn't like Naikiri. The reason he was able to come back alive after fighting against the hybrids because all that was done by assassination. A barbaric act like this was suicide. A hybrid called Saki didn't hesitate to use all his power against the Naikire, who was invading instead of sneaking in. No, let me make a correction. He didn't hesitate because his opponent was the murderer in the Naikire. This man saw from the closest place. This man was the eldest son of a hybrid family and knew the head of the Saki family. But unlike Saki, he cooperated with the demon hunters because for him, his family safety was a lot more important than the pride of his ancestors. And he secretly formed an alliance with the demon hunter organization and worked under Saki. Well, he kept his eye on him and made reports. It was he who was reporting Saki ate human flesh, and that there were more than 1,000 casualties. Originally, Saki was an old type of hybrid full of dominance, and from the view of a hybrid who just wanted to live peaceful like this one. He was just an annoying old man. On top of that, if this old man was a dictator died, the Saki Group Corporation would have a hole in it. It was his ambition as a businessman to make use of it. That's how the old man Saki's bloodline, the demon hunters who sent an assassin called Kirei. The man raised his pathetic voice, realized what a dangerous place he was in. He raised his voice like a broken doll, but that is behind the constantly echoing smooth sounds. But splash. Is this what they called no questions asked? The man was looking at the evil demon with laughter. There was no choice but to look. Just as if a storm ripped into the room, the assassin annihilated Saki's body. When the Fumson door opened, the assassin made an appearance. The man cursed. That was hopeless. Even if you prepare a dozen demon hunters, they won't be able to win against Saki, who completely awakened his demon blood. Just as he thought, there was to the room it had denied us. It happened. There was one table in the traditional Japanese room. The assassin slid under as he appeared. The man and Saki were caught off guard. For one thing, this is a small table. What is he doing? For an instant he thought Saki was dragged under the table by his foot. Then this. There was no time for Saki to scream. The moment he dragged under the table, the head of the old man called Saki rolled over the tatami mat floor. The body parts started flying everywhere under the table, in a space so small that barely one person fit in it. The terrible dissection took place, and then, drenched in blood over his body, the assassin crawled out. The Naikire approached the man who couldn't help but laughing. The emotional eyes gazed at him, who was also a hybrid. He's going to kill me. He's going to kill me for sure, he sensed. He pointed at the Ren assassin and laughed. The assassin, holding weapons drenched in blood, stood in front of the man, pushed Saki's head rolling down to his foot. A heavy sound, while holding the skewered head as if he got rid of an annoying fly. Shut up. He stuck another weapon into the heart of the man who kept on laughing. The reason that Naya missed the value spot was, again, probably because he was terribly excited. The man who was laughing fell, and Kirei left the mansion without checking whenever he was dead or alive. A man who has just struck survived. For some odd reason, I saw 4 dreams. A dream in which I went back to my childhood. A dream when I became a child. A dream in which I thought I was a child. Oh, and one more. Myself laughing terribly out of place, and myself and the child simply together in a sunny garden. He was in a dark traditional Japanese room. This was a space he was given since he was little, and this was the only space he was able to be free. He was the only small child, so he was satisfied with his size. He even complained that it was too big. He wasn't very comfortable with others in the first place, because his eyes were special, and it was an eye that seemed to look into the inner side of people. That's why he never learned words until he grew quite big, probably because he was able to feel what people were thinking without talking. On top of that, the words that they used to communicate didn't really match their emotions. That's why he didn't learn words. He thought that it was useless to learn a method of communication that was so incoherent. It was only natural. He was taught only one thing in the beginning. A year passed after that. There wasn't anyone who came to see him during that time. There was nothing else to do, so he repeated what he was taught and that became boring, so he modified it in a way that was easier for him to do. When he was taught the second thing, it was after he relearned it. Maybe not a teacher was beneficial, he was able to use his body without being restricted by common sense. His talent had been discovered at that point. He knew that this way was a way to kill people since he was born. He knew well that his family was the kind of family, and he couldn't escape from that obligation. That's why the rest was really simple. He accepted that and kept on polishing his techniques. That was the only meaning of his existence. Anything else would have been bothersome for them. That's why he kept on running. Without looking back, without thinking of anything else, he aimed for somewhere. Even as a child, he thought that he was just going to think how well he can kill someone out of his life. But as a result, that was wrong. The boy was in a dark dungeon room. That was space he was given since he was little, and this was the only space which he was able to be free. The boy was only small, so I think he was satisfied with this size. The boy glares at the empty room as if complaining that it was too big. The boy didn't understand people in the first place. Never heard their spread words, he didn't understand anything well. The boy thought he must not be human but a dog. There was a severe gap that it wasn't, he might have gone crazy. Oh well, so there's different perspectives of his enemy, I guess. The gap wasn't solved until the boy met the same type of person as him. Everyone called him a demon child. There were a clan that continued to mix with pure demon called an ogre in the first place. But once the demon who preserved the desired purity was born, the clan desperately tried to hide his existence. Even they, who are not normal, must have realized that he was something that should be born. So the signs of their bloodline over several hundreds of years have finally taken shape in their generation. Those who are called the Kishimes finally realized that they were taking the path to destruction when they got there. No doubt, this is where all the bloodlines of the hybrids end. They were just terribly slower than others, or terribly earlier. The boy was never taught anything. No one talked to him in the first place, so there was no need to learn words, and there was never need to tell others his thoughts either. The boy's vicious eyes pulled out of the inner side of people. Most of the people who met him were nothing but terrified. That's how the boy learned that people were like that, and since they only act like that, there was no need for him to learn words. It was only natural. The boy liked the forest and wished to be among the animals. They didn't allow that. Even if it were just out of formality, they could let the successor of the family live in such a way. More than anything, it must have been an embarrassment for them to have the next to half wishing they lived like a beast. But the boy wasn't a fool like they were thinking, and he matured pretty fast. The boy knew how to seal his power early on, and as a matter of fact, he never opened his cage since he was born. That was like a fasting that began right when he was born. The boy just kept on suppressing his thirst, and the beast killed himself. Normally, the bloodlet only happens after growing up as a human and find out something is in need of protection. The inversion impulse that the boy blood experiences destroys a person within a year, even the mind of an adult. The boy was withstanding that quietly. It should have been impossible for a child who does not know words, does not know what a family is. In other words, the boy was trying to protect his family without even knowing. father, mother, siblings. He doesn't know how those things are related with himself. But he was repressing himself to protect them. That's probably because he knew someday returning to so peacefully after being forgotten like that was the right thing. But that didn't last long. The one who put an end to it was someone other than the boy. You were out of your mind since you were born. Receiving that curse, the boy was shot in the head with a bullet. Those words were true. The boy was different since he was born. That is why he was able to suppress the blood longer than them and didn't go crazy like them. And then, the boy who was out of his mind since he could even die for such a thing. When the old man called Saki brought his men, it was all over. The mansion burned down and the clan was slaughtered, leaving one person. He didn't understand what a family was in the first place, so the ending must have been easy for him. That's how he was possessed. There was no regret, no remorse, no emotion, and no feelings. After all, that was a living being that can only exist that way from the beginning. And so he was in the old treasure room. He wanted and accepted this treasure room that was like a prison for him. He was sitting straight in the room that was too big for a child. And looked absent-minded at the forest in the night. He was frightened every time he looked at you. He was frightened every time he looked at you. It was probably because he didn't know you looked well enough. After you were born, he left the organization. There were many who opposed, but he shut them down by force. That were wrong, but I think there was no other way. Back to the mansion. He spent his childhood as a result, and you were locked within the dark forest. He wasn't thinking of making going through the same life that he had. Even then, he taught you the minimum to protect yourself. And there was also a time where you were trying to copy him. But you weren't a person like him. You were a gentle child. When you said you liked this place without anything deep in the mountains, and you said you were going to live here all your life past while he was frightened again. He knew that child's wish was his wish, and it was a wish that can never be fulfilled, because he never talked much, you rarely spoke either. And then it was obvious to everyone that you loved him. He wasn't very good at expressing his feelings. And her, who always had been sick in bed, because you had an honest affection. Everyone understood your mind without him put into words. So unnatural, you didn't need words. He didn't take you out to the open until you were able to protect yourself. In the 6th winter, when this will soon be settled, in the season waiting for spring, he heard this disturbing rumor. They said a certain group of hybrids was after his clan. He wasn't surprised. For one thing, his clan killed so many under the name of their organization. They're losing protector of their organization. There should be many who wanted to take revenge against his clan. This was only natural. Hearing his mansion was getting attacked soon, and Kiri laughed lightly. You idiot, there's no time to be laughing. There isn't much time. If you're going to do something, make it quick. Owing you the head of the clan, you shouldn't be adding your blood in such a small disaster. The doctor glared at Kiri. This man he knew from way back. Even after Kiri left the organization, he couldn't forget about him, and strictly told about the assault. But then Kiri, a person in question, was just sitting there laughing. No, thanks for the information, but what difference does the escaping make? If they're going to attack us, I would rather confront them in my own backyard. I don't intend on asking you for help, and moreover, this is the first hunting in a long while. Kiri sharpened his eyes. Kiri, didn't you leave the order to break away from that job? You knew the assassins were no longer needed anymore. Isn't that why you left out your way and left? If that's the case, stop preaching. What is that? What is that I have to listen to your lectures when I come here for a treatment? Here, stop talking and start working your whack. I got my shoulder busted working as a bodyguard when I haven't done so in a while. I don't understand. Some is you after when you're supposed to quit, but you're by your own business and taking on a job as a bodyguard for Tohya. No, because you do odd things like that. There are fools who start seeing the knives as problematic. How can I help it? We know this is the Yasuki since the previous head. Besides, they actually got some money. It was pretty good. It was a pretty good job. I thought you settled down after you had a child, but you haven't changed. I heard you were a fond father, but I'm starting to be suspicious. Shut up. Forget that. Hurry and finish it. Kiri didn't speak anymore, and the doctor treated him quietly and subtly. Hey, old man. The assassin once feared as the demon raised his voice in true calm tone. People's lives were oh? What makes you say that? No, I felt that way. Muttering that, Kiri stopped talking. 6 years ago, the head of the Nazi had a child. He already maintained the precision of being an assassin. They made the generation transition early. By the time their physical would start to decline, their child had already matured, and in the Naya is the seed to the next generation. His elder brother and sister already had children, and they were receiving training as a potential successor. Compared to that, Kiri had a child quite late. The reason Kiri never had because he simply didn't find a need to do so. He was just thinking of having his elder brother or younger sister children to be the successor. It's quite interesting. Like, he was like a murderer, and now he's like, yeah, I have a child now, and now I'm quite happy. The reason he never had because he was thinking of having him be the successor for Kiri, who only had interest to kill people. A thing such a child was so beyond understanding. Maybe Kiri really knew that he was a person who grew up while still remaining a child. A person who was concentrated on one thing, turning off everything he needed as a human being. A person who was only looked what he liked. And an experienced child who only knew one thing. There was no such a child who could raise a son. Obviously, he never imagined it. There was a child something excessive and not needed for Kiri. And that makes you wonder, who was his wife? Because I know Shiki mentioned her before in the beginning. That was before he saw his son. Kiri was thinking he shouldn't feel anything. He never needed it to begin with, so a son had to be something just bothersome. That's why he was thinking seeing him just once and leaving the rest to the woman. However, his world flipped once he saw him. It was a transformation that felt like he fell into the right place, or did that thing was possessing him since he was born disappear. However, the instant Chaos saw this living being, he made his mind to quit his career as an assassin. He surprised it doesn't carry such emotion like loving his child, but he just felt like he needed to do and his lifestyle since that day completely changed. He was a man who only knew how to kill people in the first place, and now he's trying to make people live. That was literally a turning point in life. Kiri has said that people's lives are very, very well made. That was definitely true, but everything about the ways making people live were new to him and difficult. Kiri was accustomed to killing. He was no longer bored of his life for the past months and years. Can I ask you something? What do you kill for your love? Do you quit because you love your son? No way. I quit for myself. That's right. If a child is a different copy of oneself, you didn't want him to make the same path as you. I wanted to see if he was able to take a different path than me. I see. The doctor nodded his head. The treatment is over. Kiri turned his back. Alright, take care. If we meet again, I might ask for your help. The doctor doesn't answer. And now Kiri left. The doctor repeats his words. If he's able to take a different path, I wonder if that man who said it was for himself realized that his emotion was in fact the love of a father. You fool. Why do you have to develop human emotion now? I thought it was too late. Finding happiness as hero was misfortune for that flawless father killer. That's impossible for you. would never be able to attain it. Mumbling himself, the dark laughed with a sigh. The cleric himself must know more than anyone that man has a race that his end will eventually come. Involving his clan, including his own son, he left the path of being an assassin. Being ahead of the Nais, he must have known. The Nais were able to exist because they were able to be the greatest assassins. Hence, when they go down from the top, that's when the Na clan dies out. Just that is a revival come 6 years lower. That's all there was to the story. Conclusion. And so the night came. So we're unable to make contact with the men below. Yes. Additionally, the far seers have spotted 2 groups coming in from below. And their number approximately 50. I'm afraid they must be Tohya's private army. Considering their numbers, they're probably intent on killing us all. Narakire laughed deliberately. There was no feeling of anxiety. In a situation where 50 armed men were closing on his mansion, it was deep in the mountains, and the landlord from the organization was bought out their enemy. They were unable to seek help. Besides, there won't be anyone else to come to their aid. In this situation, Kira was laughing, of course, because he already knew this was coming. No, it would be more accurate to say he was waiting for this. But Tonos, I don't know such fellows. I wonder when they incurred their hatred. Do you know? No, the Tohs were never our targets. Besides, they were on good terms with our organization, so there shouldn't have been any innocents who we did anything to them. I say then, it must have been some stupid reason. They're funny fellows to throw their lives like that. Master, are you telling me that you're going out to fight them? Of course. We need to stop trouble beforehand, or it may disturb our sleep. If the higher-ups are just going to watch this, it'd be better for us. No matter how much we kill, they'll clean up after our mess. But we cannot do it without casualties either. Our enemy aren't hybrids, but armed people. They're skilled and equipped like professional assassins. You're right. We'll be able to avoid the bullets. Alright, I'll go ahead and take care of the troublesome ones. I'll leave my older brother and others in charge of disposing the leftover meals. And so Kiri stood up. There was no need for a report on the enemy routes, and Kiri knew to turn down to the individual trees. If he knew just the direction that the enemies were approaching, they were headed, so he naturally figured out their path. Master, what is it? What should we do with your son? If you order us to do so, we'll risk our lives to take him outside. Don't. You would just be their target. If you have combat ability, have confidence in yourself. You're still a child who doesn't even have combat ability. So the ones who need to be prioritized are you guys. But Shiki's our child. Then let him sleep. Maybe that'll be the best way for him to survive. Laughing delightfully, Kiri left the room. The Narakir went ahead to strike the assailants. This Kiri has been assassinating on his own, working together as a group, which just messed him up. Kiri ran through in the night, the forest that he knew everything about. There were 50 enemies. They were coming up in the mountain, equipped with heavy artillery. What idiots. Kiri swore as he stepped through the trees. If they were going to spend money, they should at least come from above. It was too unproud to come from below. Or they were sure thinking that they can hide themselves in this mountain, against the night forest filled with all kinds of traps. And then for a split there was a dull sound. The sudden assault comrades were dead before it was numerous traps bringing from underground. They fired their weapons, trying to resist whether it was the sound can spark. In confusion, they increased their number one by one. The line of command must have been disturbed. I forgot. I don't remember this. There was like traps. Makes sense for an organization like this one. Moving disorganized, they shout out. Even there were skilled individuals that escaped using their own judgment. A silence. The only things remaining in the forest were dead bodies. There were many kinds. A dead body crushed by a collapsed tree. A dead body that was shot by his comrade. A dead body that was neck twisted from behind. A dead body which was screwed through, sprang to his neck, and so on. After verifying all this, assailant escaped off to Kirei. Kirei started moving again. There were slightly more than 10 enemies left in the area. A number that Kirei could take out was not alone too long. After finishing the last one, Kirei stopped. There was two options. He could kill the other assailants, or he can keep going down and kill their enemy leader, most likely waiting seeing things turn out from below. This assailants should already be surrounding the mansion from four sides. There's a much meaning to killing them one by one. When he thought of killing the enemy leader and leaving the other assailants on the mansion, Kirei encountered one other attacker nearly appeared. He was a young man with a single eye. Seemingly not carrying any firearms, he appeared by himself slowly from behind the shadows of the trees. Kirei's heart pounds rapidly. His face of a man who never even lifted his eyebrows. Any kind of assassin froze when he saw that young man. Without thinking twice, he made an escape. He was doing that. He triggered all traps to set up an area. Flying blades, collapsing trees, masses of spears shooting up from the ground. The force shut after no more than a second. The place that Kirei was standing was wrecked without leaving a trace. There was no need to do that, because the assailant wouldn't be hurt by such things in the first place. Are you in the know, Kirei? The young man asked, appearing from the collapsed forest as if nothing happened. Kirei glared at him without answering. The venom could have flowed sharper than back then. The young man, who was a member of the clan called Kishima, mixing with a non-human race called ogres, the descendants of the ones who were mixed, not the one of the blood but the flesh as well. A clan that was only one for the power of destruction. You can say that the Niles, or the demon hybrids, that he had the bloodline of the Kishimas, will always produce those who lose their mind and died a few years ago. They weren't destroyed by others, but they were killed by one who lost his mind, produced by themselves. The one who lost his mind. I heard his name. Kishima Koma. Yeah, he's the one that you saw in the last part of the main story. that replaced the Shiki's shadow and stuff. It was a nightmare. He was barely 10 when he destroyed all the Kishimas. The clan of demons, awakening the inhuman blood within himself. One who turned himself into a demon while still being human. In old legend, it was called Kurenai Sakushu. Hey kid, have we met before? Kirei took a decent man Koma into his range. The young man called Koma didn't answer, just raised his arm. That moment, the battle began. Kirei was forestalled, and once he jumped under his opponent's guard and crushed his neck before he realized he got hit. The move he believed would have no evil got literally smashed in pieces by a single blow of the enemy. Kirishima Koma jumped in the first place before Naya took his step. Realizing a wind noise, he stood in front of Kirei and thrust out his frigate arm. Although surprised, he dodged that and pierced the elbow of the arm that was poorly extended. That was supposed to make Koma arms useless. But Koma body didn't have a scratch. Kirei instantly understood that his enemy's body was hard as steel, and jumped back to an open distance. The demon, the mountain can of one, chased after him. Kirei went back against a large tree. He lowered Koma's thrusting arm and dodged by a hairline. Arm didn't stop and stuck in a large tree. I got him, thought Kirei. However, he decided to pull back. Kirei prior to his decision. In order to open the distance to Koma, which was supposed to be wide open, Kirei turned his body into a spring. The instant that large tree Kirishima had struck collapse. Huh? Many things occurred for the first time tonight. Kirei raised a voice during a battle for the first time. But that couldn't help. The large tree was almost a meter thick, and there was no way he could have fallen down with just a punch of a person. Yet, he knocked him down. Furthermore, it wasn't the impact of the hit, but the man crushed the large tree in his hand. His grip strength wasn't of a dimension that he can just call strong. A single eye beamed across. It captured Kirei, who was trying to escape. Kirei laughed. He didn't laugh as a result of his own assassination skills until now, but the first time he laughed, thinking that the battle was about to take place. It was a fabulous time. No matter what he did, he wasn't able to hurt the boy. The only thing he could do was run around, which set in the forest had no effect. Kirei's weapon couldn't even scratch him. There was no chance for him to win. There was no chance for him to go home alive. It was a fabulous time. At least Kirei felt that way. Kirishima Koma was charging at him. That was just a charge. He was surprised by the speed at first, but it was nothing after he got used to it. Anyway, the man didn't know any skills of assassination. His charge was like a gust of wind. His arm and thrust, like the sickle of the god of death. His body of steel that repels all kinds of weapons. He was born with all these kind of things. So how long was their battle? How long did Kirei lasted? The young man called Kirishima Koma never did anything that could be considered as training. I can see that. that was a simple and primitive form of destruction, nothing extra. Kirei couldn't stop laughing. A demonic arm that could destroy him by touching flew right in front of his eyes. Dodging that breath, he thrust his weapon at enemy unguarded left by the neck. Of course, that had no effect. He'd been repeating it a dozen times, but Koma's neck wasn't hurt. Kirei was laughing himself in his mind. You can't kill one person after all this, and you call yourself the... Kirei was laughing. You can't kill one person after all this, and you call yourself the greatest assassin? But there was no need for an embarrassment. And against another person, the precise blows will kill him 40 times over. Without missing a single millimeter, dodging the demonic hand isn't death. He keeps hitting the same spot. How could anyone else but a Nagakiri do such a thing? That could even be considered an illness. After several collapses of the trees, when Kirei saw Koma's arm crushing the trunk, he thought, the Nagakiri was a demon god who pursued killing. Must be a demon god who was a master of destroying. Their powers were similar but different. It was probably wrong to compare them, but Kirei knew that he was inferior to him. The only one who could fight against a demon equally is one who is similar to the master of death. After all, the Nagakiri who pursued death, who never had it from the beginning, couldn't get to that level. If there was anything he could fight with him equally, it would have been just like this demon god, a thing that was born broken. However, for this reason, it's because the Nagakiri wasn't born with death. There was a horizon that could be reached. After I circled the demonic hands of Koma, his expression didn't change one bit. That was because he was an uninjured killer, just like the Nagakiri in the past. A killer who did not fear his own death, nor his target, but just concentrate on his own activities. We're born to lose out, aren't we, kid? He thought after killing his laughter. He prepared for the final blow. I was really losing out. I never knew the battle was something so awful. I fear that flips over your heart. Uncertain if your blow will be able to defeat your opponent. The mind turned white, become meaningless. I feel like throwing up. instead of to kill my laughter. I was really losing out. There was a problem with shape, but it's such a simple struggle for life. There could be no other comment I would feel alive. The flying demonic arm. Again dodging by a hair's breadth, Kirei rolled over to the right side. A change occurred in Kirishimo's single eye. And I himself, for the first time, felt his own death. Because then I kept dodging to his left side, couldn't follow his target, and slipped right to the far right side. In addition, this is an absolute blind spot for him, who has a right eye crushed. The flying weapon. All his strength, Kirei strikes into Koma's neck, to the left side of the neck, but able to keep striking, but to the right side, precisely, just location which beautifully symmetrical. The reason he poked the child's eye the moment he saw him, this is the reason. He, at the time, sensed that he wouldn't be able to defeat the monster called Kishikoma, and just this once his life, he prepared a chance to win personal emotion. In the distant future, if there was a time he had to fight the monster, he'd be able to end it with this single blow. You bastard! I tried that voice of Koma. Damn. Kirei was the one cursed. The laughter he was suppressing subsided. The weapon embedded in the neck one centimeter deep. The impact should have penetrated to the left side of the neck for sure. Then the cue damage was on Koma's neck. What are you? What are you? Then why was raising his voice? Kirei knocked over into a tree. Koma snatched his body and threw him. Stomach was crushed in an instant, and remaining upper body down the trunk. That next moment, it ran to the tree, and Nike's face was smashed instantly. If there was a reason Nike lost, then it must have been his life itself. And Nike was an assassin, not a murderer. That's why he only poked his eye out at the time. If he had sensed that it would eventually become a powerful threat, he wouldn't kill a child. That was the most simple reason why he should live, and Kirei died. Kirishima felt his neck slowly. There was a dull pain. Koma didn't know. He grew up knowing what pain was. That's why he didn't know that if the pain would be a little stronger, his neck would fall off. His heart pounded rapidly. An unknown odor ran through his body. His fingers shook and his eyes couldn't focus. He breathed consciously for the first time and looked down at the body in front of him. Another heartbeat. His body felt hot like it was a part of another person. It feels like this dream, Koma thought, but that's not it. He finally woke up from a dream 6 years ago. Just like the night who hurt that child, who might kill him of his own will for the first time, and lost his sanity. It was just a closer meet of himself, where everything felt empty and meaningless came off. But he couldn't understand what it was. He couldn't stand it that he thought of the mist returning, and he would return empty himself, said nothing. It's hot, but it's pleasant heat. That's what it means to live and breathe. It was after he killed this man that he felt it. That's why. That's why he thought if he repeated it, this heat would continue. A voice let out from the monster's mouth. A monster started walking into the Nile forest. He was losing his mind. Their screams sounded like red wheat cropping. The moon was in the distance. The forest was quiet. I started walking into the empty darkness. I met a demon in the black field. The ground was burnt and the glass field turned into a wild land. The wild land was a vermilion colored, as if it was stuffed with strawberries, red colored like blood. There was a vermilion colored demon standing there. It was hazy like a mirage, so it wasn't so scary. When Vega looked up, it looked like it was laughing. We didn't know how to laugh, but it didn't look too happy. Or you Nanaya? It said, laughing. I nodded yes and asked if he knew where my dad was. Demon smiled even more. You'll eventually see him. As he said, sharpening his red eyes, he disappeared as if he was eaten by a bush. Someone's calling me in the distance. Scared to be alone, so I need to go deeper into the forest. On the side of the curtain of trees, there was noises like a festival. Then Shiki walked deeper into the forest. This is the end of the story. It's an old story that no one knows about anymore, so there isn't anyone who knows how it ended either. If there's anyone, it was probably only that. A blue moon in the sky. A story begins here. Yeah, it's kind of sad that Shiki doesn't remember it. But that was pretty good. Yeah. I remember you could see Kiri's face. I forgot where. Like. Yeah, I forget where you can, because I don't think I have locked it at all. I don't think it is even in this game you can see it. I remember how it looks. It looks very sketchy and stuff like that. Yeah, so yeah. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's probably somewhere else, like an art book or something. But so I'll see you next time. I'm Michael Bye.